All right, guys. So I just recently found out about the whole Annunciation church shooting, and that it happened to be by a trans individual. The shooting uh, was perpetrated by a trans individual. Um, I haven't extremely thoroughly looked through it, but I have enough information to where I'm pretty certain about what's going to happen. So I haven't seen this yet, but I figured it would be amusing to react to a right wing commentator's perspective on this issue. So I would be happy to be wrong here, but I'm going to go ahead and get the impression that this person is going to be highly hyperbolic. They're going to distort truth and exaggerate shit. They're going to act as if this isn't an individual when all the evidence points to that, because this is not there's no trend here. This doesn't ever happen. You don't ever hear about this shit. And you can believe me, if it did happen, it would be covered like no fucking other, especially with Donald Trump in the fucking White House. So you can rest assured this is extraordinarily rare. I'll dig into that in a moment. But yeah, I believe he's going to act as if um, like he's going to pull rhetoric to try to point the blame at like the left in general, probably the establishment left, and act as if like they their rhetoric about Donald Trump and about like the right in general has created and like fomented this fanaticism and extremism, which is hilarious because almost every single bit of like hate crime happens on the right. Almost all. It's like an insane, massive majority of it. Like it's hilarious that they would even try to pull that shit. But anyway, that's what I think he's gonna do. We will see. So let me go ahead and present here. Make sure it pulled up. It did.
All right, there was an absolute tragedy today at the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Despite what Mayor Jacob Frey says, my heart and my thoughts and my prayers are with the children and the parents that had to go through this ordeal. Now, what we know about the suspect here, the suspect is a transgender Robert Westman who transitioned.
Interesting. There's a little tell there. Um, he doesn't begin like the very first piece of information is that it's trans. Nothing else. Like that's not typical. That's generally not what people do. Like, of course, you're going to mention that they're trans, but it's not the very first, most significant piece of information that you cover. Let's continue.
To Robin Westman. So we have the documents from this guy. He was somebody that started to identify as trans as a minor. His parents signed off on that, according to court records. His name was Robert Westman until 2020 when he changed his name to Robin Westman. So this is the reason why we didn't get a preliminary report on who the suspect is. You know that when they take longer to ID the suspects in these cases, the chances are that it is something like this, a transgender shooter. And that is exactly what we seem to have here. Not confirmed by the mainstream media, which will put this off as long as possible. They want to play up the gun angle right now. And I just want to say what an absolute disgrace that the mayor of Minneapolis is. This guy put on a performance at the press conference and tells people of a Catholic school community not to pray. Don't just to have your thoughts and prayers. That's what this guy had the nerve to say as he grandstanded in front of the press as if this was a political speech he was giving. Shame on that guy. And so what we have here and what we know about this guy is a 22-year-old transgender Robert Westman. He uploaded an 11-minute video to YouTube filming his manifesto, showing off his gun arsenal, which included written on the gun, on the magazines, was "Where is your God?" He also had KILL Donald Trump written on 2 different weapons. This guy was absolutely a maniac, but also, he is part of this transgender community. Had the sticker on the binder for the transgender, the LGBTQ community. And they have done so far everything they can possibly to protect the identity of this scumbag. Now, he opened fire, according to the police reports. He barricaded the door of the church so that people could not get out where he was shooting from. He shot from outside the church into the school. Now, the kids it was their first week of school. This is a Catholic school. Just like my kids go to Catholic school, they have a school mass. So all of the kids from K through 8 in this school were in the church. This guy opened fire from outside the church into the church itself and barricaded the door so they could not escape. So we are hearing more and more now details about this guy, and we'll get more once the main. You can expect CNN to drop this like a wet towel now. You won't see any more about this. They don't want to acknowledge the epidemic of trans violence that we are seeing in.
There's some of that lying that I called out, that exaggeration. Like, not only is this not true, but factually, it's like the furthest thing from the truth you can possibly imagine. And I'll get into that in a moment with the actual facts, not just emotionally shouting bullshit to people because you don't like trans people. What a fucking idiot.
This country, we are dealing with mentally disturbed individuals, and they are being encouraged. They are not being treated. They are being encouraged to embrace this mental illness that they have. And it is sickening, and it must stop in this country. Now, of course, you have these people on the left automatically going, knocking and mocking, just like the mayor of Minneapolis, mocking your thoughts and prayers.
I haven't seen the mayor of Minneapolis's statement, so I can't really comment on that. I don't want to make any assumptions. He may have said some shit that I personally would find offensive. I don't know. He may be onto something there. I don't know. I have no fucking clue. Yeah, just wanted to get that out of the way. I really believe, just while I'm at a stopping point here, just knowing Trump and his cronies and the way they think, they have been for a long time now looking for any bullshit, tiny little excuse to fucking crack down on anything they disagree with and anyone that happens to disagree with their agenda. So it's unfortunate. I hope I'm wrong, but I believe they're going to try to find some way to use this isolated incident as a scapegoat, and they're going to attack trans people. They're just fucking garbage human beings, but that's probably what's going to happen. We'll see.
They say we need action. Their worldview, their perfect worldview, is living in a community where only criminals have access to guns. That is what they're going to talk about. They want to take your gun away because a mentally disturbed transgender individual performed an act of violence. So they want to take you, the law-abiding citizen, they want to take your right to own a gun away. And that's what this is all going to become about. You're going to see it nonstop from the mainstream media. But what we know now, again, like I said, you have an 11-minute YouTube video that's been scrubbed, but it's been preserved by people on X. You can watch the full video, and you can see just how disturbed this person really was, showing off, again, these magazines that this guy had in his arsenal. And, of course, just like the mayor of Minneapolis, he shares the same thoughts. Where's your God? Your prayers mean nothing. So this guy, again, began as Robert Westman, transitioned into Robin Westman. We're going to learn more and more about this, not from the mainstream media, of course. We're going to learn more about this Annunciation school shooting through people that are going to report the real news on places like X, and maybe you'll see some on YouTube.
You mean fake news, like you. Fucking idiot. See, I want you to notice that these people that always pull this rhetoric, they never actually put facts down. They never provide evidence. They rely on your fear. They're fear mongers. That's what all of the right are. And also an interesting study, and I've brought this up before, but some of you may not have seen it. What fucking part of it? I think it's the amygdala. I could be wrong on that. But the part of the brain that governs fear is larger on average in conservatives. So this is funny because he's pushing this narrative that there's these mentally ill people that are deranged and they're killing people and they're going to try to do this and that. But the funny thing is there's no evidence for your claim. Yet but the person making the claim, you are more likely than average to be mentally ill. You literally have an illness that causes you to overinflate the likelihood of danger in pretty much all regards. It's not a coincidence that the right is fearful of everyone except for their in-group. They think that like minority groups are trying to like replace white people. Like that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. It's retarded. It's based on nothing. They fear everything. When fucking a what I would call a centrist Democrat was in office and was talking about some common sense gun control. Now, it's very important you understand he was not talking about getting rid of guns. He was talking about like fucking bolstering background checks and shit, basic stuff, like checking for mental illness and stuff before allowing this sort of thing, or the purchasing of firearms. Very easy to accomplish, especially with like registration systems and how they're set up now. But they automatically, because they're so based on fear and they exaggerate things in their brain, they're so warped and stupid that they take that one thing and they go, oh, he's trying to take our guns. This is not going to happen. You can pry it from our cold, dead hands. Like, they're so fucking stupid. By the way, I'm on the left, but I'm pro-gun, at least in the context of the United States. That makes me a little strange. But, yeah, that's another aside. But still, it's the way that they present these things. It's how they're not honest about the facts. They always embellish shit and then, like, lie and fearmonger. And the biggest reason is because this is the best way to make money, because people are far more likely to watch this extreme fear-mongering shit than they are like the truth, especially people on the right. Let's continue.
Can't really get into too much of it here as I post this on YouTube because they're going to pull the video down. The police, when he gave his press conference, all he gave about the shooter was that it was one shooter, self-inflicted gunshot wound. He didn't even say that, just said they believe he's deceased, but we now know it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Said early 20s, no known criminal history. We've seen the very heartbreaking images of the parents coming out of this area with their children. It just horrific experience that we have seen far too many of in this country. And something has got to be done to address this mental illness that is
See, he's doing exactly what I said he was going to do. He's going to try to take this isolated incident that literally never fucking happened. Never. And he's going to exaggerate it and turn it into this huge thing to where it's a crisis we have to deal with. What a fucking piece of shit liar.
Affecting so many communities. They are anti-Catholic. They are anti-Christian. They are anti-God. They are anti-America. And you know they are anti-Trump and anti-conservatives.
So on the Trump thing, that's not exactly shocking. I mean, you portray this as if Trump is like some innocent dude that like just happens to have different political views. No, you don't get to pull that shit. Trump is like the most divisive, most hatred spewing fucking president we have ever seen. I was going to say in my lifetime, but like we have enough ability to look through history to know that is just full stop. He's just fucking pure fucking evil. That's not Like, that's not even some crazy shit to say. So the point I'm making here is that someone wants Donald Trump dead. Like, that's not crazy. That's not shocking. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 30% of the entire country. Like, it's hilarious how he tries to like set him up as like, oh, poor Donald Trump. Like they want to hurt Donald Trump.
And it's another one of these things where you have the Democrats with their political rhetoric that rile up this base, and you see more and more of these people continuing to perform acts of violence.
I knew he was going to do that. So now he's trying to act like he was pushed by the left. And by the way, I've talked a lot of shit about this. If anything, the left, at least in terms of congressmen, politicians, the establishment left, have done almost fucking nothing to combat Trump's fucking bullshit fascist swing in destroying this country. It's the opposite of what he's claiming. Like, you have to dig personally and go through independent media and shit to actually get real news about all of the shit Donald Trump is doing, or at least to get the full story of like how fucking bad it really is. Because Trump has like created this fucking, again, fascist like fear mongering, or not in the way that I used it before, but like he's making it to where people are, there's a chilling effect on the media because he's constantly attacking and fucking threatening to sue anyone who says anything against his bullshit lies. Like, this is the United States. Like, fucking freedom of speech and freedom of the press is like fucking cardinal fucking law. But apparently it doesn't matter anymore. So, yeah, he's pushing this narrative, this bullshit narrative, by the way, that the left have driven people to like want to kill Trump. No one has to say anything. You can watch Trump nearly any day, every day, and just unfiltered. Dude, don't listen to any sort of fucking like dialogue about it or opinion pieces or anything like that. Just watch Trump. And a lot of people is going to want that motherfucker dead because he's fucking pure evil. He's a piece of shit. So, yeah, let's continue.
This is, again, another left-wing lunatic that is part of this LGBTQ community. It's sickening, and it's something has got to be done to address this in our society. But this is what we have. So I wanted to give you guys, this is going to continue again to change. More verified reports will come in. But what we know right now is that this person began their life as Robert Westman, and then at
interesting. Not only did he mention trans first, before any other like identification or anything, which is already sort of odd that you would do that, but he's mentioned it, I think, I may be off, but I think like 5 times so far. Over and over and over, he keeps mentioning that that he or she, I guess I should say she, is trans. Why are you so fucking obsessed with this? Like, you have a mental illness, dude. It's not the trans person we should be concerned about. It's you. Like, you are a fucking deranged fucking lunatic. And again, you haven't pointed out any actual facts other than what you can get anywhere, that there was a shooting and all that. But all of your spin is just pure bullshit. It's based on lies and fucking like fear mongering.
As a minor, began to identify as a woman, and eventually legally changing his name to Robin Westman, support of the parents. We know that Minneapolis, or we know that Minnesota is very big into supporting the mental illness of this. We know that Governor Tim Walz is a grand marshal of the Pride Parade, fully embraced.
That just means that Tim Walz is not a piece of fucking human garbage like you. I mean, you're trying to turn a positive thing into a negative thing, and it doesn't work real well. It's why a vast majority of society finds you to be the gross fucking piece of shit that you are. It's not like a fucking strange, extreme thing. It's as it should be. You want to hate people for no fucking reason. And you don't tell the truth. You lie constantly because it's all you fucking do. You don't present things accurately that this is an isolated incident. Like, hell, even I would cover this and just be like, it's a tragedy. Obviously shouldn't have happened. I don't condone this shit. It's really sad. I mean, I would say that there's likely, more than likely, a lot of it has to do with like the psychological turmoil that trans people are faced with in this country, and it kind of foments this mentality and creates like extremists. It's not a common thing. I want to make that very clear that, again, this is extremely rare. But the problem is, you, fucking Alec Lace, people like you, are the fucking people who are actually responsible for this shit in the big picture. Like, it's so weird and ironic that you try to twist it and turn fucking trans people into the enemy. They just want to be fucking left alone to fucking live their lives, and you are the pieces of shit that act like they're abominations. Like, so weird.
Instead of addressing what the issue is, which is a mental illness problem, they are going to continue to try to encourage these people to embrace this mental illness rather than treat it, which is
even if you're going to call it a mental illness, fine. But if you're going to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to look for like statistics on how best to handle it. And we already know. It's not news. This is information that's been out for fucking decades now. What helps them more than anything? So you act as if like they need treatment. They have to be cured. There is no fucking cure. The best thing that you can do for transgender people is to have gender affirming care and to have a society that doesn't treat them like fucking shit, like you. This is why I oftentimes go into a rant about, sometimes you have these, like, I consider them naive. You may disagree with me, that's fine. But these naive people who think that when I am like, I guess on the surface, it looks as if I'm spewing hatred toward these people. And I am. I'm not going to deny it. I fucking hate these pieces of shit. So what you do is you don't think things through. You go, oh, you're just creating hatred, and then they have hatred, and it just fuels each other, and it's just, you're the same as them. Not fucking true. And the biggest, most easiest way to point this out, and I do so over and over again, I'll continue to do so, is intent. This man and these people in general have no valid reason to hate trans people. That just makes them feel icky because they're pieces of shit. They have no logical grounding for it at all. That's why they have to make up lies, like they're going around fucking showing their junk, and like there's like a transgender male to female in the female restroom showing their junk to like little girls and shit. It doesn't fucking happen. It's been debunked every single time they try to pull that shit. That's why they have to lie. If there was actually any serious concern, they wouldn't have to lie. They could pull up fucking data and evidence, and boom, they would be able to fucking convince people. They can't do that because they're fucking lying pieces of shit. That's why. So where was I going with that? Yes. So people point to me and they go like, so you're kind of just the same as them. So let's break this down. Let's pull it down to its root. I hate people who hate people for no good justifiable reason. If you ask me, that's not very extreme. That's common sense for even a semi-decent person. So this person hates them because of their feelings, because they're fucking they can't handle that they live in a world that's not just all about them and all for them and their fucking little stupid worldview that's like ancient. Night and day. You can't compare us. So it is true that I have hatred, but that is the correct response. What happens when you shrug shoulders and go, well, that's just sad, but there's nothing I can do? The fucking world continues to get worse and worse. Do you know why? Because people like this require negative reinforcement. This is basic psychology. Without negative reinforcement, it might as well be positive reinforcement because it's how we're wired. If we're not given any sort of pushback, we continue our behavior. It's just what we do. Sometimes it'll even escalate. It'll get worse and worse. And right now it's getting worse because Donald Trump is in office and he's inflaming this shit. People feel emboldened and they're just coming out and fucking showing themselves just fucking wide open. In some ways it's a good thing because I like to know where my fucking enemies are. But another good thing is that assuming that Trump's fucking fascist bullshit dictator crap doesn't pan out long term, sooner or later, there's already a lot of Republicans that have turned against him, which is a good sign. But people are going to realize what the fuck's going on. And these sort of people that are pushing this shit are going to be held to a fucking count. As it should be. Yeah. That was enough of my ranting.
What needs to happen? So, again, I can't tell you how disturbing it is that the actual mayor of Minneapolis came in front of a Catholic church and told people not to have prayers. I mean, I think that you can't get any more sickening than that. So this guy is a disgrace. And obviously the shooter is now deceased. He took the way out. He planned on committing suicide, talks about that in the manifesto. You can see all the pages of the manifesto on the YouTube video. It is preserved. So we know that all the social media on this guy is completely scrubbed. All of his channels have been taken down, and they're going to do everything they can to hide this. But we have it. Now, if we didn't get this thing put up and people didn't screenshot it, we would probably never get this manifesto.
By the way, they do this for essentially every mass shooter. He's doing that thing again where he's trying to like spew out misinformation to spin a narrative here. He's acting like, oh, they're only doing that so they can protect the trans identity, and like, yeah, complete fucking bullshit.
They would probably even deny that a manifesto even exists, but it does exist. And this is what we are getting now. Again, just to confirm what we are hearing. And again, this isn't confirmed on CNN. This isn't confirmed by MSNBC because they are going to delay that as long as possible. But what we have is that this was a transgender shooter, Robert Westman, who transitioned to Robin Westman, had a ton of magazines that he videotaped with all kinds of messages on it, as you would expect from a lunatic. And some of those other messages on the weapons, let's see what they included here. Where is your God? KILL Trump now. He had McVeigh written on it. He had Burn Israel written on it. 6 million was not enough written on it. So this guy was, obviously a lunatic. And so he did everything he could to try to maximize casualties. We are praying that the numbers don't rise here. We know that that at least 2 children were killed in this.
So on a side note here, just because I'm an atheist and I can't resist, we know now a lot of you are automatically going to go, you can't do that. That's not possible, but I'll explain in a moment. So I don't know about the Minneapolis fucking mayor or whatever, the statement. So I'm not talking about that, but just on prayer in general, it's scientifically invalidated. What do I mean by that? People get emotional immediately, especially if you're religious, and you go, that's bullshit. But the reason why is because you want to think that there's no way that you can accurately gauge whether or not prayer works or it does nothing, etc. Yes, there is. It's very basic. This is how we set up case studies with anything. It's how we learn shit. So I'm not going to fucking link it, but it shouldn't be too hard to find. I actually should have been asleep by now, but this is what happens when I dig into shit. So they have several studies, not just one now, and they all show the exact same thing. Actually, one of them showed even worse. I'll sort of explain. So what they did is they had double-blind studies to where people in hospitals, and this, by the way, this is specific to intercessory prayer. So some people will go, oh, that's just intercessory prayer, but they don't know what the fuck that means. Almost every prayer that anyone who prays ever engages in is intercessory. What it means is that you're trying to, you're interceding in what you consider to be God's will. You're asking for something. You want something to change or something to happen. And hence the name intercessory. So what they did is they had people that, I can't remember the exact ailment, but it was some sort of like life-threatening illness. All of the patients had this. And by the way, this was a large study, so it's not like they just fucking tested like 100 people or some shit. But what they found, they had a control group. I'm going to butcher this, but they told some of the patients that they were being prayed for. They prayed for them. And then some prayed for them without telling them that they were being prayed for. And then some they didn't pray at all. What they found in one of the studies, which was very surprising, and I don't know what the hell's going on, it's probably psychological in nature, the people who were told that they were being prayed for and were prayed for actually had worse results. They had more of a fatality rate. Because it's like only one out of the studies, it's possible that there's some sort of error involved. But if it's true, I don't know like the specifics on how they conducted it. But if it's true, I would assume it has something to do with lack of, how do I put it? Lack of drive, for lack of a better word, in overcoming the illness. And you would assume that's going to happen to some extent if you're a highly religious person, because you think it's in God's hands. So if God doesn't exist, or if prayer does nothing, you're not pushing, you're not fighting. And this has been shown in various studies as well, that people who are depressed, people who just don't have a will, or don't like have a strong desire to be trying to deal with whatever that ailment is, it has a very measurable, obvious negative impact on the result of whatever that happens to be. So the other studies didn't show that there was like a direct negative correlation, but it showed that it did absolutely nothing. All studies, all of them. Intercessory prayer does not do anything at all. You're wasting time, except for, and I've said this before, I believe that when you pray, you're essentially sort of tapping into an altered state of consciousness, which is meditation. And I think it kind of propels this sort of what I consider mental illness of religiosity, because you experience a different state of consciousness. You're more at peace and all that. And you think that that's God, but it's not. There's atheists who experience that exact same thing. So yeah, there's that. You can easily find these studies. They're well documented. It's all over the fucking internet. Of course, religious people will claim that they're biased or that it's fake or whatever because they're lunatics and they're incapable of logical thinking. Yeah. But so, geez, I'm going on a rant here. Mainly what I wanted to say is it would be, if that's even true, because there's a lot of lies so far already, if the mayor said don't pray, that is kind of fucked up. But on a serious, like factual level, you might as well not, because it does absolutely nothing, and that is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt using science. Whether you like that or not, that's the facts.
Shooting, and that is 2 families' lives that are completely destroyed, and every child that was in that church will be forever scarred and are going to need help. They're going to go through some PTSD, a traumatic event, no doubt, for the parents and for the children that were involved. And I will continue to pray for them, again, despite what the mayor of Minneapolis is telling you. So I'm going to update this as I get more information. Wanted to put out what I have at this moment. Let me know in the comments if you've got any updated information, and I'll be back when I got more.
I was hoping to be pleasantly surprised. It was basically what I expected. A bunch of exaggeration, lies, half-truths. Yeah. What a piece of garbage. So anyhow, let's pop over here. This was published in GLAAD in January of this year. Fact sheet: debunking trans terrorism and other false claims and high-profile crimes. Social media accounts with a history of anti-transgender rhetoric frequently and falsely accuse transgender people of crimes, particularly during mass shooting events, before facts are known. There is no evidence of escalating violence committed by LGBTQ people. Extremism and domestic terrorism experts tell PolitiFact that there are no widespread threats of growing radicalization or violence from the transgender population. Accusing people from a small and vulnerable community of mass shooting crimes is an effort to further dehumanize, demonize, and promote fear about transgender and non-binary people. Despite being less than 2% of the U.S. adult population, transgender people are 4 times as likely to be victims of crime. GLAAD's Alert Desk has tracked more than 2,100 anti-LGBTQ incidents from June 2022 to December 2024, including 750 plus incidents specifically targeting transgender and non-binary people. Baseless claims about a suspect's gender identity circulate while there's national attention on the event, but before there are confirmed key details. When evidence is released showing the suspect was cisgender, inaccurate posts about the suspect's transgender identity often remain up and continue spreading unverified, dangerous tropes. Far-right extremism is increasing and surpasses terrorism committed by others, PolitiFact reports. These groups tend to engage in violence that often targets LGBTQ people and promotes anti-LGBTQ views. A 2023 Reuters fact check confirms that mass shootings, for example, are overwhelmingly carried out by cisgender men in the U.S. So, I am not, just to be clear here, I am not denying that this person may be trans. In fact, I haven't dug deeply into this, but it appears to be the case. But it is true that the right-wing media oftentimes bullshit and uses this. So when it actually does happen, they have other shit to point to when they've already been fear-mongering. And they go, see, this is an epidemic. It's not a fucking epidemic. It's one individual. And again, all of the crime statistics show that you're full of shit. You just have to fucking make up lies because it's all you've got, because you're fucking morons. That's why only retards take you seriously. It's kind of sad. But even more sad is that it works on these retards. Like, they're incapable of fucking critical thinking, basic critical thinking. So, yeah. What else was I going to cover here before I end up trying to force my ass to sleep? So, sort of what I talked about earlier, and to be clear, I'm not defending the actions of Robin Westman at all. I'm trying to show that this framing that this person and the right in general are pulling is absolute fucking bullshit, and it shouldn't take much to see through it. Unless you're already emotionally latched onto this idea, and then you're just a fucking emotional retard that's going to follow your echo chamber no matter what they say. I would hope that there's more people with an actual brain out there. So being that there's a massive rise, especially with Donald Trump and his rhetoric, of extremist actual terrorism of like far right groups trying to like a fucking attack the LGBTQ community, it shouldn't be a big surprise that that's going to have some form of backlash. I'm actually surprised that we've only had one example so far after the amount that they're pushed and targeted and fucking constantly like lied about. So yeah, this is terrible, but it's not, let's look at everything, not just do this fucking black and white shit, because it's just stupid. So this doesn't happen in a vacuum. And it's worth noting that I've never even fucking heard of a transgender mass shooter before this. Never. And they want to push it as if it's like an epidemic that needs to be dealt with. And of course, as I said, I'm pretty sure, would love to be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to use this bullshit as like a fucking one thing to capitalize on, which Trump has done over and over again. He's looking for like false crises to latch onto so that he can bolster his own power. So it makes it more difficult for anyone to check him because he's a fascist fucking piece of shit. On a separate note, I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't been following the news like I normally do lately because I've been kind of all over the damn place, especially with weaning off of my medication. But the whole Donald Trump fucking hand thing, which I think has shown up twice now, all I can say is that I really hope that it's a severely painful, debilitating fucking illness and he's going to die very slowly, very painfully, and that we won't have to wait too long for it. Thank you for your time.